Hello and welcome to the program. I am Adeshewa Josh. On the program today, we will take you to Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where Dr. Soji Akikungbe, a medical doctor turned entrepreneur, runs a furniture manufacturing company called Colors in Africa, supported by the Bank of Industry. With an array of quintessential products designed in his factory, Colors in Africa is now the go-to source for locally made durable furnitures, even as it creates jobs for young graduates. I also spoke with the Special Assistant to the Oyo State Governor on Investment and Public-Private Partnership, Mrs. Folake Akinleye, who says the state is willing to encourage small businesses that will make the most of the readily available raw materials in the state with the support of the Bank of Industry.
The agricultural sector due to limited processing and preservation capacity. This results in high food prices and food importation with its attendant effects on the nation's foreign reserves. To enable Nigerians optimize the benefits from the country's vast agricultural products such as cassava, oil palm, rice, tomatoes and others, the Bank of Industry has launched a 5 billion naira cottage agro-processing fund, the CAP Fund. Customers can access the fund to establish plans to process our various agro-produce into food products or intermediate raw materials for industries at a single-digit interest rate of 9% per annum. For more information on the CAP Fund, please visit www.boinigeria.com/capfund. Bank of Industry, developing Nigeria's agro-processing industry through the CAP Fund.
I'm Soji Akikungbe, Managing Director, Colors in Africa, a leading indigenous furniture manufacturing company. You're welcome to our showroom. Please come round and let's show you around.
Colors in Africa, an indigenous furniture making company supported by the Bank of Industry, was inspired by the challenges of shipping furniture into the country, the managing director tells me. Soji Akikungbe, a medical doctor turned entrepreneur, wanted to bridge that gap by introducing locally made furniture that matches international quality.
It was quite African inspired, and I opened my first shop probably about 15 years ago. That was in Apapa. That grew and grew and grew and grew up to the point about 5 years ago when I then set up the factory that we have just visited in Ibadan.
But the journey wasn't an easy ride. It was hard to keep up with the demands, and the business needed a life-saving partner.
We finally got a loan from Bank of Industry about 2 years ago, which was used to part refinance and to part fund some new machinery for our business, which helped to be able to use up some of our underutilized capacity because we had skill, but we didn't have equipment to mop up that capacity. So challenges have been building up skill, the right kind of finance, and support from the Nigerian market. When we got the funding, which was, I must say, a great help when it was received, because it was able to give us some sigh of relief and buy us some time. Manufacturing is a long-term process. It's not a destination, it's a journey. Bank of Industry is much more confident of our commitment to building industry, because that's what they also want to do. They want to be seen to be building viable industry in Nigeria. I know, of course, there are always risks. There would be some businesses that, even with the best of intentions, are not able to survive, but that still doesn't mean that one will still not be able to take calculated risks. But definitely, I would say that the support has been more significant and more robust.
The factory is large with 2 floors and 5 departments, full of heavy machines and highly skilled workers, meticulously cutting through the woods
and assembling them to the details.
Most of our materials are sourced locally. I mean, we use a lot of wood, solid wood, and we use a lot of what I would call man-made wood, man-simulated wood, which is most of it is imported from Asia, China, but is available locally. Some of our equipment has to be brought in. Some of our consumables have to be brought in. But I would say that by and large, 80% of what we use is sourced locally.
Two welders, right?
Process starts from here. The wood is put into, it comes in planks and is put into a thicknesser, which is then planes it to a certain thickness for whatever item is meant to be made. If it's meant to be a chair leg or a table part. So it goes through the machine. From this thickness it comes to the surface whereby it's now made very, 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 very fine. So the thicknesser only brings it to a certain level of thickness, whilst the surfacer will make it as smooth as possible. So this is a smoothener. At the surface planer, we then bring it to the cross cut to cut it into the sizes that we want. So if it's a chair part or a table leg, so it's a blade that cuts it into sizes. Now we have a whole array of table saws. These are precision table cutters that will cut the boards, which are these, or the wooden planks into the sizes. So these are for all your cabinets or your cupboards that are cut into pieces and then are then put together at a latter stage. So the architect will draw and give a cutting plan and give it to the operators, who will now take the board and decide the best way to cut the board so that we get the best use out of each board.
After cutting into desired shape, thickness and sizes, the next stage is assembling.
Here we have two carpenters who have all the various cut pieces of wood and are now assembling it. Now this is an assembly table. The pieces of wood have been cut by the operator and then are now brought together here for them to assemble them into the various pieces.
Up next is the framing department, where all the frames for the upholstery are designed.
This is our main framing department for all the chair frames, for all the sofas. Now all the items here will ultimately be upholstered. So the items, they have templates which are all on the wall. They bring the templates out, they bring the panels, the planks of wood, and then they cut them out like a jigsaw and then assemble it into the chair frames, which eventually goes upstairs for the upholstery. We then come along. Here, this is the main assembly area of our factory. This is where all the items made out of man-made wood, veneer. A lot of furniture now today is made out of semi-processed wood, which is called medium density fiber. So we then have here, all the items have been cut on the table saws there, and then you then come here and then they assemble them here. And what happens is that because the items have been pre-cut to various dimensions, the items are all the same. As you can see here, we have a whole line of small shelving cabinets which literally all look the same. There's a gentleman here who is still assembling one as we go along. More assembly takes on, as we can see here. And once the items are finished, we now take them to the spraying department.
The attention to the details and a high level of concentration is needed as these workers work the details into the design.
The items come in fully built from the assembly section. First of all, they are prepped up where they are sanded down. They use various thicknesses of sandpaper. If to get a smoother finish, you have to use a very fine sandpaper. So they start using a very coarse one, and the various stages, they use softer ones until they ultimately get the finish that they want. If the item isn't well sanded properly, what happens is that when they spray, you will not get an even finish, which is what is needed to make furniture looking good.
Spraying the wood comes next.
This is our drying room. The items, after they've been sprayed, are brought here for drying so that once they're dried, then they're now ready to be taken either for upholstery or the last bit of finishing, doors to be attached, screws and everything to be put in place, wrapped and ready to be shipped to the customer.
In the upholstery room, the seamstresses and upholsterers are on hand to finish the process.
We'll make 15 dining chairs covers with this fabric. The chairs are about ready, so you have got to hurry up to finish them so we can meet up with the delivery.
The finished products are then paper padded like this and ready to be shipped out to various locations. All you see here now are proudly made in Nigeria furnitures, supported by the Bank of Industry. The business has also created jobs, hiring over 100 young men, including the disabled.
When we were starting the second factory and we were looking for people who were a bit more stable, I had then an HR consultant, Sable, an African American married to a Nigerian, who'd worked with people who are speech deficient. And she said, look, there's nothing wrong with them, they work hard, and that's how we started hiring them. And quite honestly, they've turned out to be very, very committed staff. It's lovely to see at Christmas, when we have our Christmas parties, they bring their wives, and the wives bring their husbands and their children. And it's such a moment of joy to be a part of people who otherwise would have been on the fringe of society. The furniture outlook in this country is very robust, because until a time whereby the average graduate who has a steady job can be able to walk into some form of a furniture shop, that's when we know that at least we've served the market. If I look at the construction industry and look at the furniture industry is so small to the size of the construction industry. And the furniture industry should be 4 times the size, because once you build your house, you don't need to build it again. But when you furnish your house, every now and again, either you want to change something or something. So furniture is ongoing. Construction is finite. So that just shows me that the opportunities are very robust in the years to come. We've had tremendous support from the Bank of Industry to take us to where we are. We see the opportunities very robust in this industry, and we know that with continued support from the Bank of Industry, we will be able to fulfill the dreams in the coming years.
Next on BOI Weekly, the Bank of Industry and the Oyo State Matching Fund is already making the difference.
It's been a success story because already we have about 30 people that have accessed the funding and they are doing well.
In the agricultural sector, due to limited processing and preservation capacity. This results in high food prices and food importation, with its attendant effects on the nation's foreign reserves. To enable Nigerians optimize the benefits from the country's vast agricultural products such as cassava, oil palm, rice, tomatoes, and others, the Bank of Industry has launched a 5 billion naira cottage agro-processing fund, the CAP Fund. Customers can access the fund to establish plans to process our various agro-produce into food products or intermediate raw materials for industries at a single-digit interest rate of 9% per annum. For more information on the CAP Fund, please visit www.boinigeria.com/CAPFund. Bank of Industry, developing Nigeria's agro-processing industry through the CAP Fund.
Mrs. Folakemi Akinleye, thank you so much for joining us on BOI Weekly. Ibadan is a peaceful place, I must say. I came in and it's been peaceful all the way. So tell us more about your partnership, the partnership between Oyo State and the Bank of Industry.
I always call it a marriage, and it's a marriage that is actually aimed at assisting the people. Oyo State brought in some funding. BOI brought in 100% funding as well. So we now have a pool of funds that is available to everybody in the state. But we try to look at it like, let's look at it this way. What are the key things we want to achieve, and what are the key things that we should look out for in people accessing this funding? So we said, okay, let's look at people that have raw materials that are locally sourced. Because if you decide that you want to go and import your raw materials, you are creating problems already. So we said, okay, looking at the situation where we are in, and in the situation or the vision of taking people from the low level where they are to the next level, you already have these raw materials around you. So let's take it to the next level. We decided between the state government and the Bank of Industry that one of the checklists is that the raw materials for these SME companies must be locally sourced. Most times we want them to even source the machines locally, but that is not totally, we cannot rule that out, that they cannot get assistance from foreign countries, but we try to encourage locally fabricated raw machineries as well. And we try to encourage women, because we know that women are more committed sometimes, most times, I must say, into doing whatever they are into.
Now tell us more about the success of the fund in your state.
Initially, the funding was 500 million from Oyo State and 500 million from BOI. So we have a pool of R1 billion we are working with. It's been a success story because already we have about 30 people that have accessed the funding, and they are doing well. I'm sure BOI can talk more about that. We've been on a road show trying to find out how these people are faring, and it's been a success story from them. They are happy. And the most interesting part and the most encouraging part for the state government is that most of them didn't even believe that this is real, that it will happen, that it will work. So, but I must say that the government actually made a lot of publicity out of this so that people can believe it, people can try to be aware of it, because if people are not aware, there's nothing we can do. So we created that enabling environment to make everybody aware. We advertisement on radios and jingles, even in local dialects, because some of the people that have accessed the funding can't even speak English, but that's not a criteria. The criteria is that we want to help you. We want you to grow your business from where it is to the next level. So, and it's been a success story, I must say.
Have you been witnessing any kind of challenges?
I must say, because of the partnership with BOI, and that's their area of competence, it's been good, it's been great. But capacity building is a key thing. And because some of these people, okay, there have been 1 or 2 people that have defaulted in paying back, but out of the number of people, you cannot rule out such things. But like I said, it's really bringing us back to the drawing table to see that what went wrong. And one of the things we discover is that these people really don't understand that business is discipline. So the money was meant to buy raw materials or to buy machine, and you now decided to use part of the money to renovate your building. There's a problem. So that is one of the things that we've discovered, and that's why I said capacity building is key. Once there is continuous capacity building, they will understand the need that, no, I need to be disciplined, I need to pay my salary, I need to do this at the right time. So it's all encompassing. But like I said, it's been a success story.
You've just pointed out one of the challenges that most SMEs and business people face when they start their businesses. How are you helping to make sure that these beneficiaries don't have to go through the same process?
We're trying to develop, if you remember in Japan, most of the industries developed from small scale, from local governments. from small clusters. So we working in all the 33 local governments of the state to see that what products do you have and you have advantage over the other local governments. Already we have 9 pilot schemes that is taking off in the next 2 weeks to see that, okay, you know that in your area you have cassava, in your area you have shea nuts, in your area you have palm oil, whatever, then we take it to the next level and add value to it.
Moving on now, Ibadan has such a great potential to be like Lagos based on the fact that it is one of the biggest metropolitan cities in Nigeria. What is the Bureau doing to help make sure that that's a realistic dream in the next couple of years?
I guess there have been many challenges like everywhere. You need the government to just be focused that this is what we want to do and see it through. We need the people to understand that the government can come out with ideas for the people, but if you don't cooperate with the government, it won't happen. Because you can have laudable arrangements, you can have laudable plans, but if the people don't buy into it, or you don't make them to buy into it, so it's a two-way thing. So when the government says, I want to do this, and they can sell it to the people, and people buy into it, then you can see that things will happen and things will change, and that is what we are seeing now. Oyo State has potential in agric, and I can tell you, the executive governor of the state, Senator Abiola Ajimobi, is really working hard into seeing that you add value to the agricultural products and take it to the next level, and then in the value chain you come into manufacturing. We try as much as possible to work with the organized private sector to see how they can come in to, at the same time, help the other people. You know, there are different levels. You have the big manufacturing companies, you have the small and medium, and you have the micro ones. So if we can bring them together under the same umbrella, they can share ideas. They can say, okay, this is what we are doing. This is what we have done that has worked for us. This is our own success story. We can exchange ideas, and you can see the stage changing gradually. It might not be rapid overnight, but we can see things changing. And it gives great pleasure to see that people are really buying into the governors or to the administration's vision.
And how do you intend to work with the Bank of Industry to achieve all of these dreams?
They've been a partner in progress, and they've been very supportive. And one of the things that has even come out of this relationship with them is that they want to have a regional office now in Ibadan. Presently, they are in Akure, but now, because things are changing, Ibadan is bigger and getting bigger, and the collaboration is becoming more interesting, more exciting, and we can touch more lives. They decided, okay, we move down to where the business is, and they are coming to Ibadan, which is a good sign for us.
Well, that's our program today. Thank you so much for watching. Please log on to boinigeria.com for suitable funding options for your business and ideas, or visit any of the BOI offices closest to you. If you missed any part of today's program or any of our previous episodes, log on to youtube.com/channelsweb. Please follow me on Twitter @AdeshawaJosh. I'll see you again.